Anshul, the 3-day discussions as part of the no trust vote happened. Many of the speeches were serious. Rahul Gandhi, the opposition, walked out right before the Prime Minister spoke about Manipur. My question, Anshul, to start with is this what it has come to? Is Rahul Gandhi so bereft of political ideas that his criticism now is that the Prime Minister was giggling in Parliament while Manipur is burning? I mean, there was a full speech. There was one by the Home Minister as well. And Rahul Gandhi's complaint now is that the Prime Minister was laughing.
What kind of speech was it, Shiv? All the jeering, the jibes, the laughter, the mockery. I mean, the picture is there in front of you. You can keep making the headlines that you wish. I know there is an insistence in newsrooms to make attractive headlines and all that. But the picture there is in front of you, and it was brought out by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. That on one hand, you have a state which is after 3.5 months, 3 months still burning. There is deep incompetence on the part of the administration and the chief minister of that particular state who remains there. It's a precious state. It's a fragile state. It's a border state. And it's still burning. There is murderous hostility between two groups. Forget about sharp fault lines. And on the other hand, you have these cheap jibes and sloganeering by the opposition. You come to the topic. The entire program here was that the Prime Minister breaks his silence on Manipur. Come to the topic after 1.5 hours. Not even that. Cheap sloganeering goes on like a chorus. I don't want to compare it to a kangaroo court. But absolutely shameful. And Shiv, by the way, this term, India is an alliance, and the term that, summoning all his creativity, he's thought of a particular pun on that word. And I can't even get to say it. I can't even get to say it. You think this is the high noon of eloquence by the Prime Minister?
The no trust vote, it was an excellent idea. It was necessary. In my view, the Manipur issue being discussed in Parliament was absolutely necessary. I think the opposition did well in bringing attention to it and forcing a no trust vote. My question is the shifting of goalposts. First, you say the Prime Minister hasn't spoken. Then you say he hasn't spoken enough about Manipur in his speech. Then you say he was giggling. Then you say he started on Manipur too late. Then you say there was too much sloganeering. I mean, first you say he's not speaking. Then you want to direct and edit and shape the quality and complexion of the Prime Minister's speech. It was a big speech. It came a day after the Home Minister provided a very detailed clarification, including the failures of the state government as far as Manipur is concerned. And now you've got Rahul Gandhi, who's beginning to sound, like a frustrated politician, talk about the Prime Minister being shameless and giggling in Parliament. That's bankruptcy.
So, in effect, Shiv, what you're trying to tell us is that in a democracy, the opposition has no right to critique the Prime Minister's
Not at all. Not at all what I'm saying.
Shameless. No, but you are actually, the answers are being demanded of the opposition when it is the government which is in power, and the government's mismanagement has led to what is happening in Manipur.
The mismanagement, the opposition walked out when the Prime Minister was there.
Shiv, irony has died a million billion deaths at this moment when the opposition is being questioned for questioning the Prime Minister and is absolutely...
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I wish, what I'm wishing for, Anshul, and I'm right when I say this. What I'm wishing for is that these 3 days were a ruthless, absolutely uninterrupted, unrelenting attack on the government as far as Manipur was concerned. It was scattered. There was so much, of course there was sloganeering on the part of the government. The government was on the mat. The opposition simply didn't do enough. You walked out. You let the government off the hook.
We didn't walk out. We were losing our patience by the end of it. It was 1.5 hours of relentless jibes and mocking and laughter and the Gandhi name. And poor A.O. Hume was brought out of the woodwork. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, you had enough of this. I mean, it's been so long here. Last time, the Nehru name was brought out. I mean, there is a certain kind of, the Prime Minister must be aware of what his position is. You keep bragging this about being the largest democracy in the world and he being at the head of it. And this is the kind of tackiness, of kitsch, and of cheapness that you come down to when there are such serious issues at hand. You get down to it. You answer those questions in all seriousness. If you want, look, Shiv, I agree, there is a time for politics. Even the kind of narratives that we've heard, maybe there is a time for it. You can critique it anytime you want. But this was certainly not the time. The Prime Minister, by his speech, lowered the dignity of Parliament, of the opposition, and of democracy on the whole.
Okay, Karan, where do you stand? What did you think of what Rahul Gandhi said today? I personally thought Rahul Gandhi's speech in Parliament, there are many people who say that it had a great deal of empathy, but it lacked gravitas. I think the speech was powerful. It was to the point as far as Manipur was concerned. It was memorable. It provided, certain phrases that people are thinking about all across the country. But today, in my view, and I want to tell you, I'm being fair because I expect that the pressure needs to be kept up on the government. But by talking about giggling and body language and mockery, I mean, that is part of the political language. When you've got two parties in a hostile atmosphere inside Parliament, taking pot shots at each other, that kind of thing is going to happen. But for that to be the thrust by Rahul Gandhi a day after a very serious no trust vote, what did you think, Karan?
Okay, so Shiv, I hope I'm extended the same courtesy and I can speak my mind out. First of all, when Rahul Gandhi says that the Prime Minister was insensitive, I think it's a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black. Look at how Rahul Gandhi started his speech. He started with some cheap jibes at Adani. That is what he started with. And the entire Congress support system there, they were shouting, "Sher aaya, Sher aaya." And then they were obsessed with the camera not being on Rahul Gandhi. Does that show empathy? Does that show sensitivity? I doubt it shows that. Secondly, he was thoroughly unprepared. Not a single specific detail where he could have cornered the government. You are right. I wanted the government to be questioned. I wanted specifics to be discussed. But he was thoroughly unprepared. Not a word about how the law and order situation broke apart there. Nothing. And this started right from day one. On day one, the Home Minister, Amit Shah, wrote a letter to Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary and Mallika Arjun Kharge. Let's discuss this matter threadbare. They stuck to this technicality. They were fixated with the Prime Minister making a statement. Now, what that shows is they wanted the optics of it rather than solutions. Mr. Amit Shah was ready. The Home Minister, the man who's responsible for the internal security, was ready to discuss this matter threadbare. Why did you run away from this? The entire country was disenchanted because we wanted hard questions to be asked of this government. You let them off the hook and you politicized. Did Supriya Sule talk about Manipur in her address? Did Dimpi Yadav, she was discussing the 500 rupee thali or the electricity cuts in Noida. Did Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary make a nuanced statement? He was trying to internationalize the thing and talking about Nirav Modi and God knows what all. So the truth is the opposition squandered a golden opportunity and the Prime Minister and the Home Minister answered it in great detail. They could have countered the Home Minister then and there. They did not do that. And when the Prime Minister spoke about Manipur, look at his response. Dr. Ansul says, we ran out of patience. Is that the hallmark of a great opposition, to run out of patience? I think it's a case of shooting in the foot and then landing up with that injured foot in your mouth. That is what the opposition has done.